Good morning. It's Sunday, February 6th, and I read something yesterday about the Republican Party censuring two of its own. And who did they censor? Liz Cheney and Kinzinger. And they censured them because they are members of the committee, the January 6th committee, which is the one that is probing President Donald Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. Now, Kinzinger and Cheney voted to impeach Trump on a charge of incitement of the insurrection after last year's deadly January 6th Capitol riot, and are the only Republicans taking part in the investigation into that event, the January 6th committee. So the Republican National Committee goes ahead and passes a resolution to rebuke Cheney and rebuke Kinzinger for their involvement with this January 6th committee, accusing them of participating in a Democratic-led persecution of ordinary citizens engaged in legitimate political discourse. Now that's according to a copy of the indictment against these two people, which Reuters News got their hands on. But can you imagine the Republican Party using words like persecution of ordinary citizens, engaged in legitimate political discourse? Where are these people coming from? Since when is breaking windows and charging through buildings legitimate political discourse? Legitimate political discourse is when you stand among people who agree or disagree with you and discuss it. That's discourse. Or if you stand outside and you hold up a sign that objects to something, we could stretch that definition of discourse, because I'm holding up a sign, and that says, protect me, I'm too young to go someplace, or whatever it is. Take any of the signs you see on these protests. They could be considered legitimate political discourse. So, and this thing passed with 168 members of the Republican National Committee, Party, or whatever they want to call themselves, when they gathered for their winter meeting in Salt Lake City. And the voting was overwhelmingly in favor of the censure. Now, I don't agree with Liz Cheney's conservative views on everything. I agree with a couple of her conservative views. But for the most part, I don't agree with her views as conservative, because I am basically liberal, probably a little left of center, so I don't believe in this tight money policies, and we don't spend on this and we don't spend on that and some other things, But I think she's a fine, upstanding person. She stands up for what she believes in, and she doesn't take any crap. And so they're going to make sure, and by there, I'm talking about Donald, make sure that she has a Trump acolyte running against her in the primary in Wyoming. They don't want her back in Congress because she's too honest, too sane, too upright, too outstanding. I didn't particularly care for her father. Everything I've seen her say and everything is conservative. That's her belief. But she's not dishonest. She's not one of those people kowtows to somebody. She says what's right and she says what's wrong. And if Cheney says what's wrong, I agree with her. Even if she didn't say it, I would agree with her. And Kinzinger did the same thing. But he's not running for Congress anymore. He's had his belly full of that crap. And he has decided not to run for Congress. And so because of this measure, this vote, the Republican National Committee will cease supporting Kinzinger. But he's not running. But Cheney, she won't get any support. And that, I guess, is meaning that she's not going to get any money from anybody. But she'll probably raise her own money. I wouldn't worry about her. She's a tough cookie. They didn't call for the ouster. They didn't go so far in this censure as saying that they wanted them thrown out of the Republican Party. Maybe that was a step too far. Maybe they're just hoping that they can get some loyal Trumpite to replace them in Congress. Right. Now you know that Trump has been on a warpath against Republicans who have taken a stand against him. He even has problems with Mitch McConnell, who he's called an old crow. But the Republicans have to be very careful. They got to win the next election in order for them to get this committee squashed. And I'm hoping that the January 6th committee can get their work done before the next election. Maybe it wouldn't have happened so fast if the Republicans had agreed to participate. More participation in this committee. Like, I have to laugh now because I remember that the Republican Kevin McCarthy, the minority leader in Congress, tried to put Jim Jordan on this committee. Can you imagine Jim Jordan, the January 6th committee? He'd be running around saying, they were friends, they were nice people, what did they do? So they shot somebody, big deal. So they broke a couple of cops' heads or something like that. That's no big deal, Jim Jordan. Those are the kind of people that the Republican Party should be censoring, not these two upstanding citizens. I could list 5 or 6 people that the Republican Party should be censoring. All those people that claim that January 6th was a normal tourist day. People like Ron Johnson, right? Gosar or Taylor Greene, Bovart. There's plenty of people to censor in the Republican Party. Not the people that stand up and tell the truth. Those are the ones the Republican Party is censoring. But that won't happen because the leaders of the Republican Party have made themselves lackeys to Donald Trump. They have basically abandoned the Constitution to embrace him. Cheney said that, and she's right. This is a wonderful state of affairs when the Republicans don't have... the Republicans actually have their act together. They're loyal, they're sticking together, and they're going to screw this country as much as they can. So I think I've said enough for this morning, and I will be happy to move on and see you all tomorrow.